Today's number is 1,000, as in 1,000 to 1. That is how many more tokens the unit's AI models charge by, essentially. A single agentic AI query can burn through compared to a normal chatbot question, 1,000 to 1. And this week, that math just caught up with three of the biggest tech companies on Earth. Hang on to that number for a moment. We'll get to what it means here momentarily. I'm Don Michele, and this is your Morning Intelligence for Wednesday, May 27th, 2026. The markets were closed on Monday for Memorial Day. By Tuesday morning, four separate stories had landed that all sit on the same fault line: what AI actually costs. We'll get that the lead here momentarily. But let's get into the rest of today's preview. In the lead, Microsoft cancels Claude Code licenses inside the company. Uber burns through its 2026 AI coding budget in just 4 months. NVIDIA's own VP admits compute now costs more than an employee. There's a word for what's happening: token maxing, and the bill came due at the biggest tech companies on Earth first. In the rundown, Google's new AI search is doing exactly what publishers had feared. 60% of searches now end with no one clicking on them. Your therapist might also be recording you with AI. And China starts confiscating passports from AI researchers at DeepSeek and Alibaba. In the deep cut, the Pope released his first encyclical on Sunday, 42,000 words on AI. Standing next to him at the Vatican, an Anthropic co founder. And we close with the first college class that grew up with ChatGPT. They just graduated. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's lead. Friday afternoon last week, Fortune dropped this feature. Inside Microsoft, engineers are having their access to a tool called Claude Code revoked. Microsoft's Experiences and Device Division, the team building Windows, Microsoft 365, Outlook, and Teams, opened Claude Code to 1,000 employees in December of last year. By engineers' own account, they loved it. 6 months later, Microsoft is pulling it. June 30th is the deadline. Microsoft's official reason? Cost. Claude Code is the agentic version, not the chatbot and AI that takes a task and it goes off and does things for you, opens files, edits code, runs commands, and returns all the work done in one fell swoop. The trade is way more powerful, way more expensive, and per Fortune, a single agentic query can burn through up to 1,000 times more tokens than a single standard chatbot question. Tokens are how these models charge, essentially. More tokens, bigger bills. In the same Fortune piece, Uber burned through its entire 2026 AI coding budget in just 4 months. Amazon employees, per the same reporting, have been gaming the system, running unnecessary AI tasks to push their internal adoption numbers up. There is now a word for this: token maxing. Workers inflating AI usage to hit the targets their bosses set for them. And the cherry on top, Brian Catanzaro, VP of Applied Deep Learning at NVIDIA, the company selling all the chips that's running this on, and Catanzaro said publicly his team's compute costs, quote, far exceed the cost of the employees themselves, end quote. To read all that back, the VP of the company selling the AI chips just said his own AI bill is higher than his actual payroll. So why does this story matter? Why am I kicking it off with this episode? Well, here's the audience version, at least what I think it may be. For 2 years, the pitch has been AI is going to replace people. Let's just be frank about it because it's cheaper. That has been in every CFO deck, every all hands, every restructuring memo you've probably ever heard of up to this point. Well, Microsoft, Uber, Amazon, and NVIDIA just told us in different reports in the same week that this is how it's playing out at scale. The tools are real, they're helpful, they work, and they also cost a fortune to run when you let them off the leash. For you, this probably shows up in a couple different ways in the next 30 to 60, 90 days or so. The free tier of the AI tools at your job is, well, they're going to get smaller. GitHub Copilot already moved to usage based billing on June 1st. And the adoption targets your boss set for AI use, watch them quietly disappear once finance sees the invoice. So, a practical nudge here: if you've been pushed to use more AI at work this quarter, you are not crazy for noticing the costs. Microsoft, Uber, and Amazon are already starting to pull back. The bill came due, and it came due at the biggest tech companies on earth first. Don't be surprised if your company follows suit. Bottom line here, well, the story of 2024 was AI is here. The story of 2025 was AI is going to replace people. And the story of 2026 thus far, and especially this week, is, well, AI costs more than people who actually run it. Absolutely nuts. All right, let's go ahead and get in today's rundown. 2 weeks ago on the show, we covered Google I/O. Sundar Pichai announced the biggest overhaul in search in the last 25 years of Google's existence: AI mode, replacing the 10 blue links with AI generated answers. Today's story is the first wave of real world impact, and the data is rather brutal. Per Axios, which frames this as the end of the internet's golden age, 60% of Google searches now end without anyone clicking a single link. 6 in 10 get absolutely zero clicks. For Time, TechCrunch, and Digiday, the named publishers here, HubSpot, the marketing software your company probably pays for right now, lost 70 to 80% of its organic search traffic. DMG Media down as much as 89% on some query types as well. NPR called it, quote, an extinction level event of ad supported online news, end quote. If you work in marketing, content, SEO, or anything that depends on Google bringing traffic to your website, the playbook has absolutely flipped here. So, again, another practical nudge. Pull your Search Console traffic for the last 60 days before your next stand up. And if your site depends on organic search, the inflection point, it's already happened and it's already passed. So, come up with a new strategy. All right, our second story in the rundown, a little bit of a different fault line here. NPR had this one yesterday, plus 10 of its affiliate stations on the same day, and I read a handful of them. A feature on something happening quietly in mental health offices across the country. Therapists are using AI tools that listen in on sessions, transcribe the conversation, and auto generate clinical notes for billing and for insurance purposes. 3 companies named in this: Barry's, Blueprint, and Simple Practice. The pitch: a therapist who used to spend 15 or 20 minutes on notes per session can now do it all in just 2 minutes. The catch: if the clinician does not meticulously review what AI wrote, errors can land in your permanent medical record. The tools claim HIPAA compliance. The deeper question is, well, obviously, trust. Would you speak as freely if you knew an AI was transcribing every single one of your words? This is the clearest example yet of AI quietly entering the most private conversation you have, not in the workplace, not at home, but in the therapy room. So, again, a little bit of a practical nudge here. If you happen to see a therapist or you even thought about seeing one, ask provider one question: are you using any AI tools to record or take notes? You have the right to know. And the answer might be yes. So, again, take that with a grain of salt and take that into consideration, but definitely ask the question. All right. Our third story on the rundown, and this was a Bloomberg exclusive yesterday morning. I really actually enjoyed reading this one. At DeepSeek and at Alibaba, AI researchers and executives now required to get some government approval before traveling overseas. And per Bloomberg's reporting, some employees are physically surrendering their passports to their employers. The first publicly reported cases were with DeepSeek staff, March of this year, short after their R1 model briefly upended the assumption that the United States was alone at the AI frontier. Earlier this year, Bloomberg also reported that the co-founder of an AI startup called Manas, they were barred from overseas travel. The stated reason: to prevent technology leaks, retain critical AI talent in China. A government is locking down AI researchers the way a Cold War government locked down nuclear physicists here. For you, the listener of the show, this is what the AI race looks like when the product launches are not enough anymore. The lead that US AI labs hold today is not being protected with patents, it's being protected with actual passports. All right. If you're enjoying today's show, do me a quick favor and share this episode with at least one of your friends, maybe a family member, or even a coworker. You share this episode with them, they learn a little bit more about what's going on in the world of AI. You look awesome and you help the show grow. Win, win, win for everyone. So go ahead and share this episode with at least one person today. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, let's go ahead and get in today's deep cut. And this one actually came on Sunday in Vatican City. Pope Leo XIV released his first encyclical, the headline document of a pope's term, essentially, the thing that defines what he actually stands for. The title is Magnifica Humanitas, roughly translated, the magnificence of humanity. It is 42,000 words long. And per Vatican News, Time, and the Washington Post, the subject was artificial intelligence. 42,000 words from the Pope on AI. Standing next to him at the Vatican when he was presenting, alongside cardinals and other theologians, was Chris Ulla, co-founder of Anthropic. That detail is the part that really struck me. The Vatican could have invited anyone, and they chose Anthropic, not OpenAI, not Google, not Microsoft. Ulla's published remarks, quote, The Pope wants informed critics who will tell the labs when we are failing, end quote. Giving moral voices, the incentives cannot bend, end quote. The encyclical itself argues, per the Vatican's English translation, that AI must be, quote, disarmed, and that its current development is weakening three things: one, human relationships; two, critical thinking; and three, peace. The Pope's framing, and this is the part that lands with me, is that human limits like vulnerability, like aging, like the slowness of learning are features, not bugs to be optimized away by AI. The exact opposite of how Silicon Valley actually talks. So for me, why I think this is worth time is this is not the Pope is against AI. He is not. The document explicitly recognizes the technology's potential good. This is the largest non tech institution on earth. This is the Vatican we're talking about. 1.4 billion followers in the Catholic faith, putting 42,000 words on the record about what kind of technology this should be. For you, whether you're religious or not, the encyclical names something a lot of professionals feel, but they can't necessarily articulate. That AI is making you faster, but not necessarily better. The Pope just gave that worry a name, and he put it all in a document. 6 months from now, when AI regulation lands in Washington and probably in Brussels and other important areas around the world, every lobbyist on both sides of every fight will be quoting this document, or at least they should be. The takeaway, at least for me, is the Vatican picked a side, not for, not against, for careful. And they picked Anthropic to stand beside them when they said it. All right, quick fun closer before we get out of here today. OpenAI announced something this week called the ChatGPT Future Class of 2026. 26 students, the first generation per OpenAI's framing to start and finish college with ChatGPT. Each one gets $10,000 plus access to OpenAI's most advanced models, picked for using AI, quote, in thoughtful, ambitious, and deeply human ways, end quote. Here is why this is the closer today. The freshman who walked into orientation in September 2022 when ChatGPT did not exist yet just graduated last week. The first cohort of new hires who did not learn AI as a new tool. They walked in with it the way you walked in with Google and Bing and all these search engines. If you are managing or hiring someone 22 years or older this summer, this is the context to set. And this is the context to walk away with. They're the first ones to walk out with a diploma, and they weren't the first ones to walk in as AI digital natives. All right, for tomorrow, we're watching for whether Anthropic officially crosses OpenAI as the most valuable AI startup on the planet. Bloomberg said by the end of this week it's entirely possible, so we'll keep an eye on that. WWDC kicks off in 12 days, and obviously, if there's any leaks, we'll make sure to cover that as well. And we're tracking whether the US government has anything to say about the China story. We hope to see you tomorrow. And that is your morning intelligence for Wednesday, May 27th, 2026. If you like what you heard, hit subscribe from wherever you're listening. Send this episode to that one friend who keeps asking you, hey, what's going on in the world of AI? You know who they are. I'm Dom Michalik. Thank you so much for listening and have a great rest of your Wednesday.